All right, let me get this going. I apologize for the delay. We are getting this set up. Chris, how are we looking on the recording side?
This is much better than Zoom. Just gonna say it.
Cool. All right, so yeah, let me.
You guys gotta hit watch stream in order to watch what's shared. By the way, just for those of you who haven't used this before.
Good spots.
Okay, so you guys see the screen good? I see it too. Nice. Now you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So is there a way to get everybody, when they come in, just kind of auto mute so that they can unmute if they want to speak? Does anybody know how to do that?
They added a new feature actually just like yesterday or the other day, but it's only available to community servers, and I don't know if Yam has that activated or not. Does anyone know?
Yeah. Also, I like everyone being able to talk when they, have something to say rather than having to put their hand up and wait for someone to approve them to be unmuted.
Okay, cool. We're all set up. Anything that I'm missing before I get started? Because first time, we got the agenda up. That looks good. All right, well, let's get this meeting on the road. Are we missing anybody? Oh, I'm just gonna go. I don't know if we're missing anybody. All right, so weekly community call. Welcome everybody to Yam.Finance's weekly community call. Every Thursday, we will be hosting a weekly call at 5 p.m. UTC. This is a community call, so anybody's welcome to join. If you guys have questions throughout the call, just jump in and say hi, or if you have any questions. And let's see, your host here is Fedez. I'm in charge of operations and treasury, and also leading the Dow House project. So let's see, introduction. So we're going to start off a little differently than we normally do this week. I'm going to have everybody on the channel, if you want to introduce yourselves. Team members, you guys are kind of required to do it. So everybody else, if you're a community member, you're welcome to introduce yourself if you like, but if you don't have to if you don't want to. If you guys are just coming on, if you don't mind, just put yourself on mute. If you guys are just coming on, if you don't mind, just put yourself on mute. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And then if you guys want to introduce yourself, feel free to. So first, I guess I'll start. So introductions, a quick Discord handle. Well, I guess you don't really need to now since we're on Discord. But your name, if you like. A quick background about yourself. If you work on the Yam team or somewhere else. And then also your favorite movie of all time. So Steven here, I go by Fedez on Discord. Background is that previously I was in wealth management, entrepreneurship, owned and operated a number of different companies. Now I'm with Yam full time as in charge of operations, treasury management, and also kind of leading the Dow House project. My favorite movie of all time is The Matrix. Somewhat, it's especially in crypto. some days I wake up and I wonder if, this is all real and if I'm in the matrix somewhere. And especially when I'm trading, feels like whenever I'm trading, I always feel like somebody is just watching me to sell as soon as I buy or to buy as soon as I sell. So, that's one of my favorite movies is The Matrix. Anybody else? Who else would like to go next? Yeah, they got me good though. Chris, why don't you go since you spoke up? Let's try this. Chris, why don't you choose the next person? If you choose a community member, the community member, you don't have to participate. Otherwise, it might get a little messy if we're trying to figure out who goes next.
Hey everybody, I'm Bruce. I'm also a filmmaker by trade and former architect as well. I work in marketing here at YAM. My favorite movie of all time. It changes every week. I think this week I've been watching a lot of Hitchcock. So I'm gonna say Vertigo. Just love that film emotionally, and also it's very exciting to watch. I'm gonna go shout out Nate next.
Oh no. Yeah, I'm Nate. I head up smart contracts here as well as just doing other miscellaneous technical things. I hate to say it, but Fettis stole my favorite movie answer. I love the Matrix series. They're great movies, and I totally relate to how it feels similar to being in DeFi. And I will call out, let's see. Is Theo on here? Oh yeah, Theo. There you go.
Hey everyone, I'm Theo. I am contributing towards all elements around business, growth, business development of YAM DAO itself and various products.
You're breaking up a little bit, or is that just me?
No, he is.
Okay, in this case, let somebody else talk. I'm going to connect with mobile.
Nate, choose somebody else.
Tom.
Hey, what's up? I'm Tom, Scro, Discord handle, quick background, marketing, integrating business functions, stuff like that. Favorite movie of all time is District 9. It needs no explanation of why. It's badass.
Tom, choose the next person.
Yeah, let's go. Jim, designer.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, so thanks for the introduction, Tom. You took care of both of those. So, yeah, I'm a designer, and kind of major branding background, a lot of web development. Now, I came up with two favorite movies that are a tie, and I'm going to present them both because they present two sides of the coin. The Wizard of Oz and Blue Velvet by David Lynch. Why? Because I like the fantasy and I like the weird.
All right, choose the next to go, Jim.
Yeah. So Indigo.
Hey y'all, I'm Indigo. I'm one of the developers at Yam. I'm working on the Degenerative V2 currently. My favorite movie would probably be. It's hard to choose, but it'll probably be a Tarantino movie, and of those, I would probably choose Hateful Eight, just because of the complete insanity of that movie. It's awesome. I'll choose Ross again. He was talking, but then I guess no one could hear him or something. So Ross, go ahead.
Hey everyone. Yeah, I'm Will, also Will. I'm helping out with community growth, marketing, content, stuff like that. Also doing some pie stuff. Favorite movie? I'm gonna say Lord of the Rings. No one said it, and they're just incredible movies. I'm actually gonna shout out Jerome, who has come and graced us with presents from Cometh Layer 2, who we've just done an awesome spaceship NFT contest with. So Jerome, take the spot. Welcome.
Oh, thanks for the shout out, Will. I'm the only non-Yam person here, I think. My name is Jerome. I worked at Consensus for 3 years, and also now I work for Ledger. I'm an economist by training. I'm also an associate professor at an engineering school here in Paris. And I'm lead architect and economist for Cometh. So happy to tell you more about this game and decentralized exchange on layer 2. And my favorite movie is an Italian one. It's called Cinema Paradiso. If you haven't seen it, it's a really, really beautiful movie, beautiful scenery, beautiful biopic about a kid becoming a filmmaker. And it's really an awesome movie. I really recommend it. And Will asked me to pass by and be there at your governance call. So thanks for having me. I'm very honored to be here.
Yeah, stoked to have you here. Yeah, we'll definitely get into. I'd love to hear more and more about that. Should we just see if anyone else wants to introduce themselves? Should we? Jeremy, do you want to jump on?
Yeah, thanks, Will, and welcome, Jerome. It's awesome having you. I'm a part-time contributor for Yam. Started off as a community member. Really loved the project. Got involved with basically just taking down notes with the weekly meetings and started writing articles, and just really been a great experience and a great team to work with. And as far as the favorite movie, this has always been my favorite movie. It's the #1 movie, I believe, on IMDb, and that's Shawshank Redemption. And the reason for that, why it's my favorite movie, is because it just has so many human, emotional themes going forward in terms of somebody getting a bad break, figuring it out, and really just getting his life back and doing things that he hadn't done in the past. I think the big line in that is he was as clean as a whistle in the outside world, but he had to become a crook in order to get out. In terms of Andy Dufresne. So it's just really good, really great. I've seen it so many times, and I never get sick of it. So, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's a great movie. I wholeheartedly agree. Let's see. Besides that, I think that's VDM1. Jono?
Yeah, sure. The name's Jono. Discord handles the VDM1, and I've been helping with DAO House as well as Degenerative in terms of strategy, and very keen to get more and more involved going forward. But we'll talk more about that later. A favorite movie? I'm going to go with the recently watched favorite movie, which was The Peanut Butter Falcon. It's about a boy with autism who goes off to kind of achieve his quite lofty dreams. And as corny and cheesy as it sounds, it's quite a moving movie. So definitely recommend that one.
Very cool. Thank you. So, Brian Campbell?
Hey, what's up, guys? So I'm the head developer at TVL Snacks. We were doing synthetic tokens based on total value locked for various protocols, and we were doing it on UMA. And so, you know, it's similar to what you guys at Yam have been doing with the UGAS product and the UStonks. So I'm excited to work with Yam to try to get some of these TVL tokens up on Degenerative. So I think it'll be a nice collaboration.
Totally.
In terms of movies, I love anything comedic and absurd. So the old Monty Python things, those are great for me. I can never get enough of it.
I love the Quest for the Holy Grail. That's a wonderful movie. Any community members would like to introduce themselves? Ball Fondler, Cindy Huddle, Crypto, Epith. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, my name is James. Now realizing that this is my first time using Discord for a professional type purpose, so probably going to change my user handle for that one.
I love it.
I've been hanging out in the governance for a few times now. My background is in filmmaking and construction, but I'm hoping to bring a lot of filmmaking skills to the table here. And favorite movie I would go with right now would be Life Aquatic with Bill Murray. Just a lovely movie.
Yeah, well, welcome to the YAM governance our weekly call. I know Epith. I apologize if I'm saying that wrong.
Yeah, that's me. Hello, guys. So I'm FS coming from Comet Project, just passing by to see what's going on here and to learn more about YAM. That's all. And favorite movie would be Memento for me.
Oh yeah, that's a great one too.
Yeah.
Anybody else who would like to introduce themselves? Cindy or I think the last one. If you're not comfortable, that's not a problem. All right, very good. So let's get down this agenda. All right, so I got everybody right, Will.
Yeah, I think Jerome wanted to dive in first, if possible, if we could go into that before we get into the nitty gritty. Yeah, go from there, I think.
Yeah, that sounds great, Jerome.
Sure. So well, thank you first for this opportunity to tell you a bit more about what we are doing, and I hope to get you interested into partnering and doing more stuff with us. So we've been chatting before with some people of the YAM team to strike a partnership. And what it means for striking a partnership on the Comet side is basically to have YAM stylized spaceships in our game. So is it okay if I share my screen for a couple of minutes just to, instead of telling you about the game, I'd rather show you the game, right? It's maybe a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me know if you can see what I'm sharing. Can you?
Yep. Yeah, we can see.
Yeah. So Cometh is an effort to gamify DeFi. Gamify DeFi, it's a big word, but the whole plan is to create a gateway for decentralized finance through a game, but on a layer 2. So we want to popularize a little bit the whole decentralized finance movement, and also create NFTs, and also try to have people have fun with our game. So you can see here we've done collaborations with other people before, like we did something with Meme, something with Agochi, something with Pickle Finance, something with Badger. And the way we do it is that we create those nice NFTs. Sometimes the project itself that we partner with create their own, and they share the design with us, and we adapt it to our specs. And then what we do is we put those NFTs on sales, and with the sales proceeds, we buy the token of the project. We also give a little bit of cashback in our own token to the purchaser of the NFTs, so they can have the token to play, because inside Comet, you pay in Must, a token that we have. So the game interaction has to be paid in Must. And we use like 70% of the sales proceed to actually buy the token and create the liquidity pool on layer 2. So right now we are on Polygon Matic. So we have our own exchange called Comet Swap. It's been launched a little bit more than a week ago. We have good liquidity, nothing compared to the size of the layer 1, but we would love at some point to have a YAM pair on these DEX. And so we kickstart the liquidity of the pair with the sales proceeds that we have. But we don't stop there. Like we don't keep the liquidity for ourselves. Like Comet is meant to be a community-led project. So what we do with the LP token that we have just created, we distribute them in the game. So the players become the real liquidity owner. So if you take a step back and look at what we are building, so we have Comet the game, Comet Play, which is a strategy game I'm going to show you in a minute. We have a DEX, and the fees of the DEX are actually funneled to the game. So there is an enduring economy of new prizes to win in the game thanks to the fees on the DEX. And if you like the game but don't have much time to play, or if you don't like the game, or you just have the NFT, there is also a rental service. And it's a good gateway to start to play, because like you can rent spaceships for cheap, while the spaceship, they are NFTs, they are super rare, they are super cool, so they usually have a good price. So you can start playing either by buying an NFT or renting one. And the game itself, it's a strategic game where you can be collaborative, where you can be adversarial. It's up to you. It's up to your style of play. We are super pumped up with our project to start a PvP. So soon there will be a MOBA-style PvP inside Comet. I hope early May, maybe early June, but that's where we're heading. And so it's a game that takes place in space. So here's the view from the game. That's my spaceship here. And what you see in this around this blue sun, all of those squares are players. So if I click on this guy, you see you have a cool spaceship here. Click on that guy. Let me cancel that. If I click on that guy, you have another spaceship there. And this pink thing, it's a portal. If you manage to get next to the portal, you can warp yourself onto another sun. So coming back to the general map, you have 3 suns right now, about 1,800 unique addresses playing, about 300 addresses playing daily. On Solo 1, we have 1,200 players. That's a lot of people. And so every square is a spaceship, and every time there is a second that passes in the blockchain, the person moves a little bit to the right. Or to the left. Well, it's like a watch. Like you turn, everybody turns on the same place. And if you zoom out, you see there are comets coming. So if I click on one of the comets, I can see what's inside. It's a Ethereum to Must comet. So if you manage to mine this comet, you actually get some LP from the DEX. And the way you will do that is that you would, for example, select this spaceship, and you want to be on the same trajectory as the comet when it passed by. And when I say it's an adversarial or collaborative game, it's because the only way to move in space is to pull yourself towards someone else. So you will click on this person, for example, click on jump, and once the transaction has been mined, your spaceship will change position. So what we see is that the players interact with each other, create those lines of spaceship that are the right spot at the right moment, and they tend to change their price for the pooling service once they want to leverage some strategic position in space. And so the next step will be to create a stadium in the game where you can do PvP basically. So we probably drop this stadium right here. And have many different spaceship in space representing many different projects that we have been collaborating with. So I personally I have a Navigochi spaceship somewhere. Yeah, this one, pretty cool. And if you browse, if you visit the space, if you click on different spaceships, you see wow, there are lots of the time the same spaceships. Yeah, I'm unlucky. Yeah, here's another one. So it's very diverse. It's very fun to play. We have players active all the time. We have a good community with many people active. And the goal of this approach is to familiarize people with DeFi primitives, familiarize people with a new DeFi project, and from the DEX perspective, to give access from the layer 2 to DeFi tokens. So right now you can use the StakeDAO tokens that represent different strategies, whether you want to have the Curve USD strategy or you want to have the Curve BTC strategy. If you want to expose yourself to the B Badger token or the B Dig token, you can do that directly from the L2. And we would love to give access to YAM tokens directly from the L2 because we think it's a good strategy to give access to DeFi to people that don't have thousands of dollars to put directly on the layer 1 and pay the fees for, as they can directly onboard on Matic, and whenever they feel safe enough or cool enough to go to the L1, they can do so. And in meanwhile, they can enjoy games, they can enjoy playing, and that's it. Yeah. So that's what we do at Comet, and I hope it was a clear enough introduction, and happy to take any questions you may have on what we're building.
It's very cool. I haven't had a chance to check out the gameplay. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Right. Thanks for the kind words. I won't be staying on your governance call for the whole time because I've actually jumped in like last minute, and I got to pick up my daughter to the babysitter. But if you have any questions, like I got 5 minutes more to spare, happy to take them here. And you can find me on your Discord anytime if you want to ping me with a specific question.
Hey, Jerome. It's I can hear myself. It's. Sorry, can somebody mute? I have an echo. Okay, now it's okay. Hey, Jerome, it's Theo from the YAM team. Pretty cool game, and thanks for the presentation. I'm wondering, so for us as YAM, right? Like, what can we do? What's the game mechanism that allows us to promote YAM, right? Like, is there a way how we can have a YAM guild, and by playing together as a guild, we have a bigger spaceship, or kind of how can we utilize the community effect within YAM to be better in the game?
No, very good question. So one thing important is that, for example, first off, you have YAM stylized spaceship. So big YAM potatoes in space. Like typically, there's no limit on what you want to design in your spaceship. So you kind of advertise for your project by putting spaceships in the hands of the new players. That's one thing. The second thing is the asteroids themselves. Right now, they are just big rocks, and we are going soon to open different style of spaceship. Different styles of asteroids. So we already have a pickle-sized, pickle-shaped asteroid, for example. So think about putting some YAM asteroid, and players are actually clicking on the asteroids. That's one of the goals in the game. You need to know what you are going to mine, and you need to make sure that you are not going to mine something that's going to run out too soon. And when it comes to guild, play. We have two very active guilds right now on Comet. There is the French guild that is super active called the Snails. And you can create your own guild. You can create your own team, figure out where the Comet is going to be, tell your friends to join in and collaboratively position yourself, because you would indicate in advance where the Comet is going to be and so on. So that's what you can do today. In the very short run, we are introducing perks. So yielding, having on your wallet a specific NFT, so a YAM NFT or a badge representing a YAM belonging to a YAM guild or something, will give you some boost in some situation, or some boost when you are mining a comet that contains some YAM token, for example, or boosting your stats even. And that's, I think we are going to be having that in mid-May, so we can introduce new NFTs that represent, or you can introduce the badge from your guild that can bring some awareness about the project and some advantage in game for supporting the project one way or another. And finally, what we do what we hope to do in the short run is having a team play MOBA style for the PvP. So we already have a couple of not really project, but more of NFT funds that have an armada of spaceship, of rare and mythic spaceships that wants to see that happen. Like they are ready to start an esport team and have those esport team play their spaceship at not a professional but esport level, let's say. So definitely, if you look forward to have a smaller YAM armada, you'll definitely find people in your community that will want to play that regularly or maybe full time, and that will be down to play in tournaments that we are going to start having in the game.
Very cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, we look forward to it. Thank you for your time, and thank you for coming on to share what Comet is going on at Comet. We are planning to put up some forum and governance posts on basically, I think Bruce will be talking about some competition to create some YAM spaceships in a second, but we will also be putting up some snapshots or forum posts to join in on this fun.
Totally. Thanks again for having me. And if you need anything, don't hesitate to ping me on Discord. I'm not super fast to respond, but I respond. Thanks, mate. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jerome.
man. See you soon.
Thanks. See ya.
All right, so that's awesome. So let's get. We've got an agenda to go through, and we are running low on time. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of move through things quicker. Governance items, as far as we've got two proposals up for snapshots. They're contributor proposals. One is the VDM one, and the other one is Ross. I'm going to have them just do a quick background, let you guys know what they're working on. Both of these gentlemen have been with YAM, contributing part-time, but adding a ton of value to YAM. And the team is happy to have them. We're looking forward to working with them even more closely, and they're both really just doing spectacular work. I'll have VDM John go first.
Cool. So I think just listening to this, for those that are going to listen to the recording afterwards, will be best listening just with my proposal up. So yeah, I came across YAM because of degenerative.finance. I saw that YAM was building super innovative synths. I couldn't trade gas prices anywhere else except for on degen, and I just got more involved from that route because I actively trade. And I thought, YAM's a pretty cool community. They're building some cool things. And I guess that's what brought me here. And after contributing for the last month or so, I'm super keen to come on full time. I've recently quit my job. I think mid-April they're going to let me go. I'm just working notice, so that's hence why I would be working half-time in April if I were to be signed on by the community. But basically, I come from a wealth and asset management background. Investments are my passion through and through. Also have a bit of a mini passion in computer science, but obviously not as good as a dev, on like a full-time dev on that for sure. But I think that kind of combination between loving investments and loving code, kind of, you belong in DeFi. So it's just really is my one true passion. And in terms of what I've been up to for YAM in the last month or so, I've been doing a lot of strategy on our synths. How can we make them better? As an experience for someone who's going to LP, how can we increase yields? How can we make them better for traders? Just in general, how can we make them better in terms of just leading Degenerative on its path to revenue? And I also put together a Telegram bot. Feel free to DM me, any community members that would like to get that set up. The link is there. It pretty much just sends you three notifications a day just based on your collateral ratios for UGAS, June, and UStonks. I found it very useful myself. And also put together some marketing content for us and attended quite a few meetings with House. So yeah, in summary, what I want to bring to YAM is just my financial expertise. I think we are building many, many DeFi products, and I think I can add a lot of value to them, just giving a depth of the financial expertise from that side. And my focus is going to be DAO House and strategy in Degenerative. But I think in the near term, we really need to push DAO House because it's a fantastic product, and I think I'm going to focus most of my efforts there for sure. Just trying to enhance our analytics, get some more technical stuff out to clients. Put together strategic asset allocations, put together a framework of how we manage money, and work with Krugman on that, and just develop the product, and also talking about kind of product verticals for like an index product in DAO House. That's something that we're exploring quite seriously as well. Yeah, and then I also want to do a lot more work on the treasury, just in terms of the view of it now is quite high level, and it's in good hands being managed by the community. And I know Fedis has done a lot of work on it, but I think we can really go deeper on it, break everything out, put it into its bucket, beta directional kind of exposure farming, and then non-directional farming, and just really split everything out by its strategy and do kind of scenario analysis on and impose conditions of like 2017 bear market to that, just to see where we would be in 6 months, really get down and close to the data on the treasury side. Yeah, so that's pretty much going to be, also want to do a lot more work with the synths and get involved in actually implementing the changes that I've suggested. Yeah, so that's the first 3 months I would want to, of the projects I'd want to be doing. And obviously so much more is going to arise, and I want to give all the value I can to YAM. And I'm really, really looking forward to coming on if the community signs me on. So I guess that's to try not go over time. That's me. Pass it on to Ross.
Thank you, Jono. Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. You also, you've been working on some of the synths that you'll be talking about in just a second, but also excited to have Ross move in full time. So Ross, I'll let you take it away.
Work on the governance analysis and reform. I've been working with the UMA synths and Degenerative in working directly with UMA to get some UMIPs approved and whatnot. And then overall stuff with trying to work through tokenomics for different projects, which is all very much still being worked out, but is pretty exciting. And then I have plenty of sort of like crazy ideas that I like to share with everyone. So, but anyway, I'm an architect by trade, and I am currently full-time doing that, but I would like to come full-time to work for YAM. And the thing I love about YAM really is just how much is going on and how much is sort of being built, all these different pieces. And I think part of my previous experience as an architect is taking a bunch of disparate elements and combining them into sort of cohesive wholes. And that's something that I really want to focus on and try to make YAM more than just a sum of its parts, more than a sum of just the projects that we have, but as a cohesive whole that really works together great synergies. And in doing that, I think still requires focusing on specific things. So I would still be focusing mainly on degenerative, working through synths, working with Jono, less on the financial side, but more on trying to integrate everything, strategy, sort of the business logic, as well as hopefully helping out with Umbrella, as well as I know we need to really push on that here in the near future. Yam Factory is something that's been discussed but hasn't really been pushed forward. I think I can really help push that forward as we try to bring on new projects, and then through all of this, looking at overall strategy for Yam, for our sub DAOs, how they work together, how potential new tokens could work, how tokenomics could work. So it's all very exciting, and I have found in the last few months that the amount of time that I've been able to spend on Yam hasn't been enough, and I'm really looking forward to being able to spend more time to really push things forward. So exciting. Oh, and one other thing is I plan on being a Yam ambassador and trying to, be in communication with the projects that we work with as their point person, and also trying to find new collaborations in that regard.
Thank you, Ross. Definitely looking forward to working with you on a full-time basis. As you guys know, if you've been on these calls before, we've got a lot of different projects kind of moving in what looks like might be separate directions, but they all actually come back together and synergize with each other. I'll go over more in detail about that after we go through some of this agenda. But let's move on. So KPIs, just quickly, our treasury holdings are looking excellent. Right now, we're looking at about 7.6 million in the treasury. That doesn't include our contributor vesting pool, where the contributors get paid, but also our general expenses. So this is mostly all just kind of our treasury to use for investing, to use for bootstrapping, to use to grow YAM ecosystem. It's increased from the previous week about 670,000. That's, market movements. It goes up, it goes down. So, but generally speaking, our assets are not highly volatile. I mean, everything's volatile in crypto, but we're going to have VDM1 kind of take a closer look and just make sure that we've got our assets allocated properly so that we're not exposing ourselves to undue risk. Number of YAM holders, last 3 weeks, it's grown every week. So that's an excellent, last week it actually grew a decent amount. The more people that hold YAM, the stronger it is. Yam.finance Twitter followers actually went down by a couple hundred. Maybe because we're definitely increasing our exposure of what we're doing just because we've got so much going on. There's just so many things to talk about. Discord members growing. Degenerative.finance. Any questions on the KPIs? I'm going to move into our first product or project, degenerative.finance. All right, perfect. Theo, if you would like to go into the KPIs of Degen. Okay, we might have lost.
No, I'm here. Just real quick. I mean, you can see the numbers. TVL at 7.6 million. Last week it was 8.2 million. It's great that it didn't fall off a cliff, but we were able to retain a fair amount of SYN sponsors, accounting for about 7.5% of all UMA TVL. And keep in mind that is important because that means that we get 7.6% of all weekly UMA rewards, right? So this is great in terms of making sure we get a fairly large amount of total UMA rewards, both to those SYN sponsors, but also to us as YAM DAO, because keep in mind, we keep 18% of all UMA rewards as revenue. And yeah, just a general comment, if you want to look up price charts and stuff, you can find UStongs and UGAS on CoinGecko.
Thank you, Theo. Yeah, that is super important because we're not only getting people that mint an LP um, UMA tokens for APY for the liquidity mining, but we're also earning revenues for YAM. And these revenues are important because it's part of the time and effort that we put into building out degenerative.finance and also the V2 website, which Indigo will go over in just a second. We spend a lot of time and effort into creating these. You see the contributor pay. That all goes into building revenues for YAM. And with these revenues, we have options. We can do certain things in the future, which we'll go into in a little bit later. But as far as the V2 website, it is looking awesome. And like I've said before, we learned a lot of mistakes, especially when this whole contest with UGAS and UStonks. We learned a lot from it. There were a lot of value added kind of things that we gathered, and we're implementing pretty much all of them into our V2 website. So this thing is going to be fantastic. It's going to make it much simpler and easier for people to use. And Indigo, if you'd like, just kind of update us on the progress of how it's looking.
So V2's going well, starting testing very, very soon, probably today. And hopefully we'll hit our deadline of like mid-April. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Indigo. You and Bloku have been working tremendously hard on this website, and you guys will see the once we're able to show it, we'll be able to see the progress of that. So moving on, synthetics. Just quickly, UStonks UGAS promotion recap, limited release NFT airdrop. This will be distributed with the rewards next in a couple of days, in about a week. It's an NFT that goes to the first 100 users that have has used 10,000 worth of collateral to mint UStonks, and you had to have LP for 21 days. Some people didn't LP for all 21 days, or some people haven't hit that 21-day mark yet. So there is still, like, if you're trying to get into it, but you know you're a little bit late in minting and LPing, maybe a couple of days, keep your positions for the couple of days extra to reach 21 days, so you can qualify for this NFT. Currently, even though the APR has dropped off, it's still good. Number one, it's 31%. And if you understand how minting and LPing work, it's based on your collateral. So you're getting 31% of your entire collateral used to mint the synth and also LP. So it's you're net neutral in terms of price risk. So 31% is pretty good, in my opinion, on USDC for UStonks. So the 31% also goes to UGAS as well, if you mint an LP UGAS. For UGAS June 21. UGAS March 21 just expired earlier today. It's currently going through the expiry price request and disputes. So this process, unfortunately, takes 2 to 3 days. The next contract, UGAS June 21, it should only take a couple of hours. UMA has changed up the EMP so that it doesn't take as much time. The expiry price should be around 0.139 ETH. So if you have any in that you bought at cheap, maybe 1 ETH, you made a decent amount of money there. And then nuisance. So we've got some really, really cool stuff that the VDM1 has designed, and it's got some really interesting implications. So UMA has, you can basically build whatever synth you want on UMA, but you have to outline it, and you have to detail it, and ultimately it has to have some sort of use. If it doesn't have a use, it's very hard for people to use it, mint it, trade it, et cetera, et cetera. And VDM1 has actually come up with some great ways, new synths that could be very, very effective. So VDM1, why don't you go over the yield YAM, if you don't mind?
Sure, I'll just go over it quite quickly because I know we pressed for time. So basically, what it is I'm going to explain this in less technical terms. So if you're a very technical finance person, I apologize. But it's basically like if I was to go to the pool and buy yield YAM, I would pay less than 1 YAM for it. So we're going to change the starting price to a certain number we haven't quite decided on yet, but I'm going to use 0.95 as an example. So you go and you pay 0.95 YAM to get 1 yield YAM. And whenever this synth expires, it always expires to 1 YAM. So if I pay 0.95 YAM and I receive 1 YAM a month or two later, the difference is my interest. So it's like a fixed income instrument. So it's cool that you can earn interest in YAM if you buy it. And if you sell it, you basically can create a scenario where you are neutral to the price risk of YAM. It is quite complicated. So in the future, I will do a tweet thread or an explain on a Medium article or something. But basically, it allows you to be market neutral. So if YAM's price is going to go up or down, you're not exposed to that. But you didn't have to sell your initial YAM collateral to achieve that. And that's really good for tax efficiency. But I won't go into detail on that. That will be in the tweet thread or whatever I post in the future. And the coolest part about this is because you need 1 YAM to mint a yield YAM, is that you will always be fully collateralized. So your collateral ratio would be 1, and then it's unliquidatable because there's never a position where you won't have enough collateral to kind of commit to the expiry price. So that's really good for 2 reasons. It's as an LP that you're going to mint an LP in farming UMA rewards, you can sleep easy knowing that you can't be liquidated. And then the second thing is that because you're putting down so little in terms of a collateral ratio, the lower your collateral ratio, the higher your UMA yield. So it's a really, really good way for people to farm with their YAM as well. So a couple of use cases, and Ross is currently working on the 1 UMIP, and that's just to get a synth that is going to be expiring to the price of 1. So it would be 1 YAM in this example. And yeah, Ross, do you want to talk about the YAM dollar?
Sure. So the YAM dollar is really just it's the Y dollar, which is UMA's expiring contract Y dollar that we would use YAM as the collateral for. So you can lock up your YAM to mint Y dollars, which will have a set expiry date. And at that expiry, you get $1 worth. So it's you still have to worry about liquidation a little bit because it's a typical Y dollar, similar to how MakerDAO works, but it will unlock potential for YAM in a new way, and you earn UMA rewards for it. So it's just another primitive that we can use and build upon, and it's going to be great to be able to put our YAM to work.
Thank you, Ross and Jono. Yeah, these are very interesting. They don't sound quite that cool right now, but if you understand the implications of yield YAM, where you can basically take your YAM, UMA farm with it. So if we're getting 31% to mint an LP UGAS, because it's so capital inefficient, you need pretty much 3 times as much ETH to mint one ETH worth of UGAS. With yield YAM, you can achieve if we're getting 31% APR on UGAS, you can easily achieve 100% with the 3 times more efficient use of collateral. So if you're interested in making yield farming or liquidity mining UMA rewards, yield YAM is going to be beautiful. And you can't get liquidated. YAM dollar, if you have YAM and you don't want to sell it, but you want to have access to the capital, mint YAM dollar. Sell the YAM dollar for $1, and then you have access to this, to essentially like MakerDAO with ETH. You deposit ETH and you mint DAI, and you can spend that DAI, and then eventually, if you want to unlock it, you got to pay it back, obviously. But you have access to the capital without actually losing your YAM. So while they sound kind of boring, very, very useful pieces of the DeFi Legos for YAM. We're definitely very much interested in creating more value within the YAM ecosystem. So there's also some other really cool things with Yield YAM that we're going to discuss and try to work out that we'll inform you about later. But there's a lot more use cases than just liquidity mining. So moving on, any questions on degenerative.finance before I move on?
I just want to say that this is just the start, right? So these are the building blocks, and UMA is working on a perpetual synth so that like the yield dollars that we make won't have to be expiring. So this is the beginning of an exciting time. The building blocks.
Yep, we've got all sorts of neat things that we're planning on doing with degenerative.finance. And not only that, the more people that use degenerative.finance, the more revenue that YAM makes. And the more revenue that we make, the more options that we have on what to do with that revenue. So moving forward, unless there are any other comments or questions. Okay, DAO House. Just if you haven't heard of DAO House before, we do have quite a few of materials to look into to kind of understand it. But essentially, DAO House is treasury management as a service. So what we go and do is, number one, we've done this for ourselves. We basically taken our treasury and broke it up and used it, created it so that it's capital efficient, it's making money, and it also reduces risk. So since we've done it for ourselves, number one, we know that it's difficult for DAOs. DAOs are managed by a decentralized group of people. So a lot of DAOs out there have a ton of money in their treasury. For example, Sushi. Sushi has approximately $250 million in their treasury, and it's 100% Sushi tokens. So we made a proposal to Sushi to create a Sushi house for them. We created our own YAM house. DAO House is like the overarching structure. Sushi house would be kind of one of the pieces. We've created a proposal to Sushi to basically take their treasury, help them divest it depending on how they want to do it. We created a custom set protocol kind of container that we will help manage and invest in according to the DAO's wishes. So really, really cool like wealth management piece to DAO treasury management. And right now it's up for snapshot. So we've gotten it green lighted by the core team of Sushi. We've also put it up on their forums. Their forums are super positive about it. They're all in basically. It looks like this proposal ends tomorrow. If you have any Sushi, please vote. This Sushi house ultimately will help YAM. Part of the fee structure or part of the benefits for YAM is that when we build a Sushi house, part of what we agree to is for them to hold a certain percentage of YAM inside of their house. So Sushi house is probably going to have $5 million worth of Sushi in it. When we divest it, 3% of that's going to YAM, YAM token. So that creates buy pressure for everybody. And they're going to hold it in there. They're not going to buy it and then sell it. Number two is that for the portfolio management piece, 1% of the portfolio will be streamed to be split between YAM, Treasury, and Krugman, the portfolio manager. So if you want to look into details, please do so. Really awesome stuff. We got a really cool proposal up there. But if you also have Sushi, make sure you go and vote. And this is the link to do it. Any questions with DAO House? I know we're running low on time, and I want to make sure we get into the marketing and the rest of this. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to just reach out to me on Discord. Theo?
Quick question. So the investment strategy will be decided
Okay,
by.
so moving on, let's go. We're going to go to the Umbrella Protocol update by Nonstop Theo.
Hey, Fedis, there was a question. Did you?
Sorry, I missed it.
Avin Khan,
So-
you wanna ask your question?
Yeah, sure. The investment strategy will be determined by Krugman, or would it be like a community vote? For the sushi house?
Sorry. Yeah, I can hear you. Wait. No, sorry. Could you go over the question again?
Yeah, community.
Fedis, I think you have Avin Khan muted. That's why you
Yeah,
can't.
sorry. I just unmuted you. The question was, who's going to determine the investment strategy?
Yeah, like who's going to determine that, okay, we're going to use this $5 million to buy this or sell that or whatever?
I got it. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yes, good question. So the way it works is that the DAO sushi in this case kind of determines a risk structure based on kind of well-known portfolio management analytics. So we're currently using beta and correlation. So first thing we do is we'll talk to Sushi and the core team, and even during the proposal, we'll ask them, what's your risk tolerance for this specific the DAO sushi house? And in their proposal, in their polls, they chose about a 3. So it's kind of not super conservative, but not super aggressive, a 3 out of 5. So we have these preset kind of templates. It also depends on how much sushi they're putting in. So basically, we work with the team to determine what's the best way to divest. We have a general target for what we're shooting for as far as what the beta and the correlation are. And then we go through a process with them, with Krugman, to actually go and do that, to go and divest. Yeah. So yeah, for more detail, chat with us, but also take a look at the proposal. It's pretty cool. But we're always updating it. As we learn new things and figure out how to best do it. There are some interesting, unique things that we're trying to do as well, as far as like token swaps with other treasuries, OTC deals, et cetera, et cetera. Any other questions? All right, Theo?
Umbrella, yeah. So I keep this short, focus primarily on UI design and development. We've spent a lot of work and a lot of time recently around branding and narrative, kind of positioning Umbrella in a distinguishable way, right? From a branding point of view, so that it stands out compared to the kind of defensive brand that Nexus or Cover or Armor have. And then, of course, the big elephant in the room and the big question is the go-to-market. And we are exploring various strategies and ideas, all of which are work in progress and ongoing. And the thing that I'd like to put out there to the community is, if you had to choose a protocol or an event that you would like to see covered, please come forward. Let us know what protocol, what smart contract you would like to see insured and protected. and also what specific element or what specific exploit, right? Is it an Oracle exploit? Is it a smart contract hack? So help us a little bit. Help us a little bit by giving us your feedback around where you see the biggest risks. So we get a little bit more creative input around coming up with the best and the most suitable first meta pool constituents. That's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Theo. As we umbrellas, we went through a kind of in detailed protocol update today, a review, and umbrellas got a lot of potential. And the good thing about products that have a lot of potential is that they have a lot of potential. The bad thing about it is that they have a lot of potential. So you don't really know which direction to go in and how to maximize the value out of it without actually going through and testing product market fits for a lot of things. So we'll be going more in detail and figuring out what's the best way to go about it. But it is a good protocol to build off of. With that being said, Jim, do you mind going over the media marketing stuff that we have planned?
Sure. Yeah. So the media marketing plan is being written right now. It's actually a product marketing plan. And the reason for it being written right now is because as we are working out the interface, making sure that the interface does everything the contract can do, we're also developing the strategy to get two sides of the marketplace going. And they need to get going simultaneously. So that's the providers as well as the buyers of the coverage. And so the marketing plan or the product marketing plan is being created right now in this time frame right now, which is different than the time frame when the contract was written. Fortunately, the contract has a very suitable structure that will allow us to launch the product and do all the things we need it to do. What has changed is the market itself, and that is there hasn't been that much uptake in insurance as was originally thought, say back in the last quarter of last year or earlier. And also there's a fairly crowded marketplace right now. And so all these things are being taken into consideration to determine our actual strategies. And that's that strategy or those strategies that are developed and being developed right now will then form the actual media marketing plan. We'll execute against those things. So it's a project that's moving ahead on 2 or 3 different levels at the same time. And what we want to do is make sure, this is the key. We want to go to market. We want to get this out, insurance product that is totally rock solid, number one. Number two, it has the greatest potential for market fit and to develop the two sides of the marketplace. And then have momentum to move forward with a longer term development improvement plan as well. That's about it.
Thank you, Jim. I know Bruce had to go to a call, so if you don't mind just going over the rest of the media marketing or DL.
Yeah, so degenerative is a very strong push right now in developing the strategies around which synths are going to be launched with V2. There's also, of course, marketing's involved in, Bruce especially involved in the guidance of the V2 development. In fact, he had to jump off to go have a meeting with the designer and the developer. So that's all going extremely well. And the pieces that get included once it's decided exactly what goes in, and that's like I would say 95% decided and has a roadmap right now for, I think, a 3-stage deployment of synths that will come live one right after the other when each V2 degenerative finance launches. And then we will be running campaigns against each of those. So this way we run a sequence of campaigns as synths are being introduced, the introductory set, and then market against that. Then the next wave, and we market against that, etc. And that way we're doing two things. We're not overloading people with too much information at once. And we're also developing momentum over time. Dow House, I say Dow House is next up for a next push for Dow House in a number of ways. And basically, two, I think, important pieces are developing a home for Dow House, a website entity or a page on the YAM site, and kind of probably both, as well as a campaign that I'm going to call a pain campaign. The pain of not diversifying your treasury at this time when, or ahead of the time where there might be a drawdown in treasury tokens, especially for those DAOs that hold a lot of their own treasury token. So yeah, there's more strategies I don't want to reveal quite yet, but something else that will be revealed later when we're close to being able to do it with Dow House in terms of marketing things. So, gosh, yeah, I went over the Cometh stuff, and God, I think that pretty much wraps it up, other than, you know, all the loose ends, which I won't go into the detail about.
Thank you, Jim. So that just about wraps it up for the community call. Sorry that it's a little longer than usual this week, but next week we'll try to keep it in an hour. But before we sign off, any questions from the community or from anybody on the call? Great. Well, thank you guys, everyone, for your time. This agenda is up on Discord if you need to see it. And if you have any questions, we're here. You know, right here, which is nice. You know, we went through some technical difficulties for today, but I think moving on next week, we'll get better at using Discord for these community calls. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Great to see everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Later.